Hello, this is a message for Anne and the American Bar Association from Sharon Bovat, aka the DOD Whistleblower. My message is to explain my emails to Anne from yesterday when I complained about Joe Whitley, the guy known as the granddaddy, daddy, godfather of DHS, about him chairing the Homeland Security Conference. You see, Joe Whitley is a lawyer with Baker Donelson. He's also connected to law firms that do a lot of defense for white-collar crime. He is a criminal defense lawyer for white-collar crime, leads conferences about people and companies protecting white-collar criminals, and also leads a conference for the Homeland Security for the American Bar Association. Now, I've attended that conference, and the conference is loaded with bureaucrats that are lawyers that need hours and accreditation to keep their legal license. The conference panelists, a lot of them are lawyers that represent big business special interest. See, what I want is a conference, kind of like the National Security Conference that they have in November. Every November, sometimes in October, the American Bar Association does a stellar conference in reference to national security. They have top lawyers from the NSA, CIA, DIA, you name it, and they talk about issues that matter to American national security. But they have lawyers that are government workers. These lawyers, their job is to protect America. Whereas what I noticed at the DHS conference last year was that the lawyers, a lot of them, they represent big business. They represent special interest. Now, this is the Department of Homeland Security, which is also an intelligence agency. I believe they're one of the 17. Also, the Department of Homeland Security, I was told by a very close ally of Colin Powell, it was born corrupt. You see, the Department of Homeland Security was put together very, very quickly. Companies were set up with very little oversight. Contracts were given, people were given a lot of money, and then to keep that money, they kept having to hire lobbyists, and they hired law firms. Well, you see, our taxpayers are suffering. America is suffering. And we need to have our hardworking government lawyers go to conferences that have, as panelists, a majority. I can see a couple from the private sector. But our government lawyers need to go to conferences where the panelists are people like them, people protecting American interest. Now, I know for a fact Joe Whitley's company protects companies that have interest in Iran, in Russia, in other countries that I would consider our enemies. And Baker Donelson has been allowed to get away with being the platinum sponsor of the ABA Homeland Security Conference. Now, Ann did say that their conference has nothing to do with DHS. Well, let me tell you something. Joe Whitley tells people that it's his conference. It's his conference because, you know what? He was the first top lawyer at the DHS. And I'm not going to say anything bad about Joe Whitley. I'm not going to accuse him of anything because that's not what my problem is. My problem is that the American Bar Association is having conferences and they're getting people that are attendees that are lawyers for the government. They're paying a lot of money in registration fees, and they're getting educated by people that don't necessarily have the best interest of America. I have a lot of examples, but I'm not going to go there because I don't want to make allegations about people. I don't want to get bombarded with cease and desist letters. Oh, you know what? I made a comment about something in Tennessee that was actually true. And I got a cease and desist from the law firm of Alberto Gonzalez. You see, there's a lot of problems in the intelligence community with intel sharing, and I have exposed them on blogs. I've been asked to expose them by people that are connected to the Obama administration, and this is my very last year that I'm going to be doing this because some FBI people told me that I had approval to blog and basically tell the truth because I have grade A sources. And I'm doing it. And this is my very last year. And I got a heads up that I would not be welcome at the American Bar Association Conference for Homeland Security. And I have always been welcome at the National Security Conference that is held in November. But I went last year to the DHS, and you see, I've always gotten a student rate. And why do I get the student rate? And this was the issue that they had, is that, well, you see, I am doing a black op. And I have been going to these conferences, and I am doing what I call something for my country, where I've been asked to do this, and I've been given a low budget. And so I've been getting this student rate for these conferences. They're about $400. I've been getting the student rate in 2012, 2013, 2014, 2015. And I got a heads up that I would not be welcome in 2016. And sure enough, when I sent an email, and I said I was really just interested in two topics. You see, I've been asked to really just my last year, I'm just kind of following up on certain issues. One is the issue of supply chain in our government, and especially in issues involving national security and homeland security, and also issues about foreign companies and their influence in our government. And I think the fact that Joe Whitley, his company represents, foreign companies connected to foreign governments that are our enemies, and he's leading the conference, and he doesn't want me at the conference, I think that says a lot. So anyways, I'm not going to the DHS conference because, you know what, I could pay the $409 registration, but I knew I wasn't welcome. I know I'm welcome when I get the student rate, and I know I'm not welcome. And I'll just go to the National Security Conference. And I've been doing a lot for our country. I've been asked to do this by a person, can't say the name, I've got to protect my sources, and I've actually been asked to, after the Obama administration ends, to either secure a position as a credentialed media. I get a lot of media credentials, but I have to get the legal credentials because I need to protect my sources. And I need to protect my sources because I was one of the people that was leaked the information about Hillary's emails a long time ago. And I was asked to get the mainstream media motivated to report the issues of her emails because people in the FBI and in the Obama administration knew that this was an issue that needed to be talked about, and they knew that the mainstream media would not report it. You see, I have blogged about a lot of issues that matter to society. I have broken more stories than many mainstream media journalists that have had 20-year careers. My name is Sharon Bovat. My blog is Voice of a Moderate. I'm changing it up because I got to make it look real professional. I've got to become a member of the National Press Club because I've got to be a member of the media. And I have been bucking the mainstream media system of suppression for 6 years, reporting on a ton of issues. Issues that got then, when they were exposed by me, they were put on an agenda in these meetings in D.C. with powerful people. And they were talked about, and issues were resolved. Last year at the DHS conference, I asked a question about drones because I had an NFL source tell me that they were worried about all the drones that people were going to be getting at Christmas time. They were worried about threats. I can't even go into the details that this one NFL person told me about what the threat was because I don't want to give anybody ideas about what you can do with a drone. I was told later that my question at the DHS conference, the one I'm not included at this year, led to the registrations of all those drones and the quick handover. And I actually wanted to go to that panel because I played a role in making that happen, and I wanted to hear the update. I also asked a couple other questions that I were told that were very insightful. You see, at the DHS conference, people don't tend to ask questions at the American Bar Association Homeland Security Conference. When it comes to Q&A, there's never seems to be a lot of people lined up to ask questions because those people seem to be quiet, go along to get alongers. Whereas if you go to the National Security Conference at the ABA, there are so many people with questions, I can never get my question in. Well, it could be that, or the people that are moderating are like, we're not going to let Sharon ask a question, because they know my question is coming from a source, and they know it's going to be important. And sometimes, and some panelists let me ask questions. And one of those panelists at the National Security Conferences that has answered my questions on numerous occasions when he's on a panel I've been asked to ask questions is Bob Litt. Bob Litt has always let his moderator let me ask a question. He is the top lawyer for the DNI and James Clapper. So Sharon Bovat, the DOD whistleblower, the woman that has exposed so many issues that matter to national security, the whistleblower that has been given topics by other whistleblowers so they can keep their jobs. It's kind of a form of whistleblower protection, what I've been doing. The person at the DNI has respected me and has let me ask questions. That shows that our government can work. The DNI has helped create a more transparent government. A lot of people don't believe me when I say it, but I'm saying it now. Because I've been basically told, you're not welcome at DHS, Homeland Security, which is basically, the ABA is not part of DHS, but people that go there are DHS. So I have to clarify that. The ABA conference is not the DHS conference, but they really are. But, we can't have taxpayer money spent anymore for these conferences that are led by people with private interest. I want to see taxpayer money spent on conferences like the conference in November at the National Security ABA conference, because that conference has panelists that are loaded with people that are working today in the government, working for the American people, that have the best interest of our nation. And I'm okay that I'm not welcome at DHS, but I want those questions followed up. I want to follow up on my drone issue. I'm very proud of what I did last year. And I want the supply chain protected in our government. That's what I wanted to do. But you know what? I don't go where I'm not wanted, but I hear I'm wanted at a pool party. So I'm going to have a great day. And I have no animosity towards the American Bar Association, because I've seen the good that you do, and I've also seen some things that are very frustrating. So this message to you today, to Anne who got my emails, is please address my problem. Please note that Joe Whitley is in charge of this Homeland Security Conference. He's the daddy of Homeland Security. He was the first top legal guy at the Homeland Security. And he's also leading a white-collar criminal conference at some resort in September. I mean, this is a man that is profiting from these corporations that are getting these DHS contracts. That's not right. It's called a conflict of interest. I think the ABA should represent all lawyers, but when they do a conference that's targeted and the attendees are government attendees, government employees, using taxpayer money, the panelists need to be people, and the people in charge of putting the panelists together. Because I'll tell you something, I saw the cybersecurity thing, and I've got some questionable, I'm not too happy with your cybersecurity panel. I've been to much better cybersecurity events at think tanks in DC. Think tanks that sometimes I complain about, but they do awesome stuff. And I want to say that New America, Atlantic Council, AEI, Brookings, the Cato Institute, Heritage, Center for American Progress, all these think tanks that have done so much. I really appreciate you, because when I go to yours, I listen to your speakers, I get to ask questions, and I know that what you're doing matters, because you are truly have an open door policy, unlike the American Bar Association. Anyways, Have a great day.